Hey guys, this is Jack with Team Empire, and today I am covering my top 4 deck list for the Nexus Game Guys Tournament that we just did yesterday. We meant to record it when it happened, but there's some funny stuff that happened. I'll show it in the bloopers later. But I used Magnolia Masques, as I said. This is one of my new favorite decks from the set 12/set 13 meta, and I'll be going over the deck and then my matchups. So starting things off, we have the ride line, which is we play, oh whoops, that's a Dragon Tree marker. We play the Zorga ride line with our Magnolia. I don't like any other ride line for this deck. It's just not very good. The planet tokens aren't going to get that big under the markers, and the Sylvanhorn Beast ride line sucks. It just calls cards from the top of your deck, which can be triggers or PGs. This helps you draw more cards. This helps you recover your orders. Very simple. Next up, 5 Dragon Tree markers, because you're only going to make 5. It's not like Griffregilla. Then 4 of the Magnolia Masques. This is our main grade 3 for the deck. You want to go into this as soon as possible. Unlike other mask decks, you don't want to stick to your main grade 3. You want to go to this whether you're going first or second every single time. It also, for those of you who don't know what it does, it powers up all your units on Dragon Tree markers by 10k, and then lets them attack from back row. So it turns all your Dragon Tree markers into 15k power instead of just +5. On top of that, some people don't even realize that the +10 also goes to units in the front. So you can just put a Dragon Tree marker in the front row. When you Persona ride, a lot of your stuff will be like 35 or 38. Also has a really niche removal effect, but I used it every single game, just because retiring rear guards is always nice. And normally I retired 2 to 3 things. It helps against certain matchups like Leonorn, which calls their Rosarian Fairies and their Luster Impacts. It also helped in our Jeweled matchup where we retired some of their rocks. And then 4 copies of Inlet Pulse. This is probably the thing that I would change the most out of the deck. I mean, I still love the card, but to be honest, it doesn't do very much until turn 3. And if we had the Magnolia Masques promo, Maliva, I would probably play that instead, just because it's a revivable interceptor from back row that can get like 25k shield. But Inlet Pulse is still nice, helps us draw into some of our cards. Then we play 4 copies of the Dragon Tree Wretch Depth Elith. This is a card you need to play in Magnolia Masques. You need to create those markers. This is the best way you make the markers. It also thins 1 card out of your deck every single time you use it, which is the Mask of Hydrogram. Counterblast is Soul Blast is not a problem for this deck in the late game, since you use Inlet Pulses that you can just put into Soul. And then for the next card we play the best card in the deck, which is the Forest Grow Dragon. Has a really nice effect where when it's placed, you counterblast 1 and you call as many cards back from your drop as the number of your Dragon Tree markers. Usually I use this when I had 2 to 3 Dragon Tree markers, so I can call 3 cards from my drop. And that's really all I needed it for. It helps you call out your Goildotes, your Inlet Pulses, your Dragon Tree Wretches to create more Dragon Tree markers. On top of that, he has a really cool second effect, which is pretty useful. When he attacks, and it can be anything, you can attack Rearguard or Vanguard, Magnolia gets 5. So Magnolia can either be a 28, a 33, or a 18, which is very annoying. Those are all annoying numbers for your opponent to deal with, especially on Persona ride turns. So yeah, he's a boy. He's the boy. Next we play 2 copies of our Goildote. He is really good in Elder. He's still really good in Masks, but he's not essential to play as like 3 or 4. 2 is fine because that first effect, or second effect I should say, he becomes a 35k attacker on a Dragon Tree marker and a 45k on Persona ride turns, which is very strong. On top of that, he's basically the Inlet Pulse for the deck because he draws a card at the end of the turn. But he actually goes to drop, so he's easier to revive than Forest Grow. With Inlet Pulse, you had to put him from Soul into drop and then revive him, which can be a little difficult depending on our hands. Next up for grade 1s, 3 copies of our Dragon Tree Wretch Bist Arvis. He's basically just here to have more Dragon Tree Wretches, to get more Dragon Tree markers. But he has a really niche second effect, where if you have extra CB and extra Soul Blast, you can use that effect to grab any normal order from your deck. So you can grab like your Habitats, which, spoiler, we played Habitats, the best card in all of Stoicheia in my opinion. But yeah, he's just really good for helping you get those markers. Then we play 3 copies of Serol. He is one of the best cards I say this a lot of cards, but he's one of the best cards in the deck on top of Force Grow because he helps us with our kill turns. Our Persona Rides now affect the back row when he's on the board. So not only will you get the +10 to the front, you'll get the +10 to the back, and with the Dragon Tree markers already giving 15k to your back row, this is essentially 25k to your back row, which is insane. Even this guy can become a really good attacker, 33k. And on top of that, when he's placed on a record circle, you can, from hand or deck, so keep in mind you can't revive him, but you saw last one, you search top 5 for a Magnolia, so he helps you also get your Magnolias. Sometimes I'll even call this card if I don't have a Magnolia in deck, but I want something like Inlet Pulse in my drop zone. So you can just Soul Blast, look at top 5, and then use something like Force Grow to revive the Inlet Pulse. So he's a good boy. And then finally, we play 3 PGs along with the 1 Elementaria, just because Drajuled is in the meta, and you want to be able to have a free guard against them, and PGs are just very essential because the numbers are very big. Also, Elementaria will be useful when Shiranui comes out. Then we play 4 copies of our Mythiarch Habitat, the best order in all of Stoicheia, one of the best cards in Stoicheia, has a free effect that allows you to look at top 7 and call anything. On top of that, if you find it itself off of its first effect, you can just add it to your hand. So you have even more thinning for next turn. I always say this, like every single game I've lost with Magnolia Masques has been because I haven't seen Habitat. Habitat is the card that makes or breaks the entire deck because of how much thinning it does. Then play 3 copies of our Mask of Hydrogram. I used to play 2 copies of Mask. The reason why I bumped up to 3 is because you call your Dragon Tree Wretch Depth Illith a lot more than other Dragon Tree decks. So you want to be able to search as many masks as possible. But I never really used its first skill that much unless I didn't have Habitat. If it was a choice between Habitat or Mask, I'm always going to use Habitat every single time. Next up, for trigger ratios, we played 7 crit, just because, I mean, crits are just good. They help you win games. I used to play fronts in the list, but I found most of the time when I wanted to check a front trigger, I would rather it be a crit. So that's why we play 7 crit. Then play 4 draw triggers, just because we want to be able to hit our pieces. We want to draw into our Dragon Tree Wretches, our Magnolia Masques, our Force Grows if we need them later in the game. Also helps us just draw into PGs to survive. Also checking them defensively as God tier. Then 3 regular heals, and then 1 of the counter heal, the Restander one. Once Shiranui comes out, I would bump this up to 2, and then probably take these 2 out and put in the set 9 ones that get plus 10k shield if your opponent's grade is higher than your grade, just because they have Restanders and they're Stride deck sets, so their grade's always going to be higher than yours. But these heals were fine for my matchups. And then finally, the 1 over trigger, the Blessed Favor. I use them in all my Stoicheia decks just because the heal and the draw 2 and crit is just too good to pass up. Now I'm going to go over my matchups. Honestly, it was a pretty fun event. My round 1 was actually one of our friends. He actually got 3rd in the entire event. His name's Arthur, a very cool guy. He's also a San Antonian. He played Greedon, and Greedon's a very annoying matchup to fight. I went first, and I immediately masked up. He whiffed off of his Greedon masks, but unfortunately, I needed him not to hit over, and he saw the over trigger. That's how it happens. Oh well. Round 2 was actually against another San Antonian, a good friend of ours, Sonia. She was playing Bugs, she was playing Mushi King, and that's a very scary matchup. I just barely squeaked out. A lot of these games I barely squeaked it out, which I know it's not the safest record because it's not all my wins were guaranteed, but that's just Vanguard. To be honest, it's not a lot to say here. I just happened to check more crits than her in the late game because I had like 6 crits left. Round 3, I don't remember my round 3 as well. I just remember that I won that one. I don't remember who I faced. Oh, I faced Cal from Team Ham. He was playing Drajuled. And to be honest, that was one of the easiest Drajuled games. I pretty much crippled him because he saw like nothing but triggers in his hand early in the game, and he just called 2 rear guards, and I just Persona Road on him, and I used Magnolia Mask to retire his 2 rear guards, and then instantly he had the guard with everything in his hand. So by the time he got to Ignis, he had like nothing in his hand. Round 4 was against Heroes. Very scary deck. They went first, and I had 3 Magnolia Masques in my hand, so I had to drop all of them. So I pretty much had to do Persona Ride only once that entire game. But luckily, his hand wasn't that great. He guarded every single one of my attacks besides the last 25k attack, and he only had 5k worth of guard, which, thank God, because I was not going to survive that next turn. And next round 5, I should say, was, I don't remember who my round 5 was. Oh yeah, round 5 was Leonord. To be honest, I probably should have lost that game. He had a lot of advantage. I misplayed early by not using Magnolia Masques effect to retire his Rosarium and his Luster Impact. I did it the following turn, but when he rode up to Vivace, he would have killed me, but I checked the 6 damage heal because I had 2 heals in my over left in deck, and I also top decked my Persona Ride, which really helped me win the game. And then my last round, my final round, was against Bastion. And Bastion's a very scary deck. He had a massive hand. He survived my Persona Ride turn with like 2 cards in hand. Out of his 4 drive checks, his 2 that he got from Bastion and his 2 that he got from the grade 3 that he stood, all 4 of those had to be no triggers. And unfortunately for me, they all were no triggers. So I managed to survive that turn and then kill him. Down going on the top 8. It was actually funny, I got the bye in top 8 since one guy dropped. So that felt a little less deserved, but I mean, oh well, we take those. And then I faced Xavier, who ended up getting first. I faced Xavier in the semifinals, and that was when I drew the worst hand I ever drew with this deck. It honestly was really bad. I don't mind that I lost because it was against Xavier, but it was like basically 2 Sorrols, 2 triggers, and then 1 PG, and I kept drawing triggers. And against Jeweled, you need to have those pieces or else you're just going to lose. You'll just be stalling your defeat. And then finally, for my round to play for 3rd, I played against Arthur again, who was my round 1, if you remember. And once second burst, same as the first, he actually hit Griot Masks this time, and he hit me with the OT, so I just ended up dying. But I still got 4th. I still really enjoyed the event. I thought it was a lot of fun. Thank you, Game Guys, for hosting this great tournament. I hope you do more like this in the future. And thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye, guys. Because, you know, drawing cards is always nice. Next up,
Jesus Christ.
another linchpin for the deck is sorry.
Reel.
Another linchpin for the deck is actually our depth. Can we even do this?
I think it'll be okay.
You think so?
Just talk loud.
Okay. We are doing Depth Illith. I mean, it's obviously very important for the deck. You need to play your Dragon Stretches, especially the one that searches the Mask of Hydreigon. And because this guy is so essential to this Mask deck, I actually bumped up the amount of Mask of Hydreigons I usually play. Circle when it attacks.
All right, guys, this is your last chance to purchase anything from the store.
Oh, dude, you're gonna have fun with the blooper reel on this one.
W editing for Jack. I was like, these are super easy, very few edits. And then his fucking profile.
All right, well.
Do you want to do this later? No. We have to, I want to
No.
do
Okay, I'll start over.
If you want to make a purchase, please come up front now. Otherwise, thank you guys for coming to Game Guys.
Is it cool?
You guys have a good night.
I guess pretty soon.
Okay. Go.
You got epic.
Game Guys is now closing.